Peace, y'all. We made it. This is fruition. I'm Drew. Today I want to talk about transmutation. The transmutation. In order to manifest what you're becoming, or in order to manifest what your mind has created, it takes the groundwork, the work that's happening behind the scenes. Okay, that is potential. Potential is something that is stored. It's something that is stored, and it has a certain journey, or it has a certain degree in which it changes and becomes what it needs to be. All right. When we're talking about manifesting and we're talking about becoming our better, the highest version of ourselves, we kind of look at it. It's easy to take on the idea that we're talking about, you know, asking, asking the sky, to grant this wish. If I just, if I just wish, so much that it just happened. I'm not here to, that's not real. We're talking about the process and the system in which we're going to have to put into play to actually manifest what it is, the vision that we see, internally, behind the scenes, that potential. Okay, starts with a vision. Then we come with a plan. And then that plan, to reach that vision or to reach that point in which that potential turns into something else, or it takes form. Okay, that's transmutation. Okay, how I boil a pot of tea. I'll boil a pot of tea. That tea can take many forms, right? Before, just from the water, right? Be like water. That's what brother Bruce Lee said. Be like water. Water can take many forms. Okay, it's an element. If you take a block of ice, we could take a block of ice, and that block of ice, and put it in a pot on a stove. Once heated, little by little, degree by degree, that block of ice is going to start to turn to water. Although cold, although it's cold, it might be ice water. That block of water is going to, that block of ice is going to become water, like still water, okay, at a certain degree. Now, you keep heating that water will take another form and start boiling. Start at a simmer, then become boiling hot. That's when you can add, you can add your herbs to it, and you can drink it and get, your tea. If that water continues, if that water continues on that same journey, heating up degree by degree, that water will take on another form, and it will eventually become steam and evaporate, where it no longer needs to be in the form of a liquid, and it goes into air, right? It goes into the air, and it appears to have disappeared, all starting from a block of ice. The point I'm making is to manifest, right? Where, it's a lot of talk about manifesting, especially in January, and this, it's a vibe, it's an energy. It's I believe it's definitely a energy in the air, right? Which is a good energy. But what happens is, after, said amount of time, through my own experience, that when the inspiration kind of fades to the black and the motivation ain't there, and then you deal with your the life's loops that you're kind of stuck or familiar with manifesting. I call it loops. I call it loops, and you stuck, and it's so familiar just to go back into the status quo, right? That you forget about what it was that you was manifesting. Or I don't want to even call it, you didn't forget about it. You gave up on manifesting, and you just went back to what feels comfortable, whether it feels good. I don't even want to use the word that feels good. You go back to, you resort back, you ran back, you retreated. Okay, just because you haven't seen, you know, and I'm using the first of the year as a resolution. For example, if just because you haven't seen your thought, I don't even want to call it your vision, but your thought of what something may look or feel like, just because you haven't seen it manifest into the physical yet, that doesn't mean that it's not working. Okay, that block of ice has to go through a lot of degrees before it starts to melt. That first of all, you have to regulate the temperature. The temperature is the vibration. Okay, what if the temperature is still below freezing, the ice isn't going to change. Okay, something about the environment has to change, if that makes sense. The environment has to change. So when degrees start to go from a low temperature of, rising, degrees at a time, then, the potential in the ice becoming, changing its form is building. It's being stored. You might not see any water yet. You might not see any water yet. But if the temperature is rising, or that vibration is rising, and the environment's heating up, it's building a little bit of heat to it. You know, you start moving the ice around a little bit, and build a little bit of friction, that'll make a little bit of heat. And then you see some remnants of, you know, liquid. Okay, that's potential. Keep it up, keep moving around, let that vibration keep vibrating. Let it do what it needs to do, right? Eventually, the environment of the temperature will arrive at a temperature hot enough that that block of ice will start to melt. Okay, we can apply this with anything. We can apply this with fitness, right? We can apply this with an addiction, quitting smoking, or quitting, any habit that you wanted to overcome, right? It may not be easy. It's not about something being easy or not. It's about working the system until it takes on another form. You know, building a routine or a habit, or breaking an old habit, replacing it with a new one. It takes it takes some work. It takes effort. Put it that way. It takes some effort. Okay, the consistency is the super element in all things. You have to remain consistent. You have to remain consistent, diligent, okay? Determined. When you reach that breaking point, or that point in which you transmuted that cold energy into hot, it's going to be a point where it changed. The tables turn. And when the tables turn, it's it's not that something magical happened. It's that potential broke through. Now, the it might be subtle, whereas though, you're in motion, and your idea actually could have changed. Your vision actually could have changed, because think about it, almost like you have tunnel vision on. It's like you're looking ahead. You're looking ahead. You don't even know you passed that mark, where in which where you're manifesting something. It might not be what you thought it was going to look like or feel like, but you already passed that threshold. We are our own biggest critics in many ways. In many ways, fault I used to have was thinking that a lot of things mattered that didn't. You, when you set off to do a certain thing on a particular journey, right? You're not doing it. You shouldn't be doing it for no one. You shouldn't be doing it for no one. You got to do it for you, because if you're not doing it for you, it's you don't have the drive behind it. You don't have the gas to get you. You don't have a why. Okay, you don't have a why. So you have to get to a point where, as though everything works for you. Everything's for your greater good. Everything, even quote unquote shortcomings, has to be for your greater good. And that's another form of transmuting or transmutation. It has to work. It has to work for you. Versus looking at something, this cup is half, everybody has a cup. Is yours half full or half empty? Everybody has a cup, for the day. When you wake up, you have a cup. Is it half full? Let's just use that analogy. You on the wake up, you know, these eyes opening, that's either your gift or your curse. Some people look at it like, oh, you got them out there, right? They wake up, they off top. They go into that, you know. Why, when you can look at it like, what's the day going to bring? However, you may give me that. However, give me that. And that is along that journey when you had your why and you was going after that. You picked this up on along. It's to the good. Even everything has to be. That's how powerful you are. Everything has to work for you. Everything has to work for you, because what is energy anyway? What's bad about it? If you really think about it, this is next level kind of, this is high level talk, right? It's not everybody not going to grab this, right? But what's the fear at the end of the day? Let's just get into it. What's the fear? What are you afraid of? What's the worst that can happen? And then, when it happens, it happens. Then what? There's really nothing to fear about. When you're paying attention, when you're looking out, when you're looking outside for the answer, see, it haven't clicked yet. Now, disclaimer, I'm not referring to myself knowing everything about everything. What I know about, and I'm explaining it the best that I can right now. There, you fear not nothing, anything. Man doesn't have to fear death. Death is the truth as we know it. You're promised that. So if that's the end of all things, you almost embrace, like, you have to embrace it. We care about our loved ones. We care about people. We become attached to people, and we don't want to see our people, in a bad way. That's different. That's love. In my understanding, that's the way that we love someone. That's real love. That's heart. But so far as fear, if you don't have to fear, think about it. If we eliminate the fear factor, right, your quality of life changes immediately. Immediately, if you just ponder on the idea, what is fear? Something that didn't happen yet. You're afraid to do something that because something might happen that didn't happen yet. It's not even facts. We don't even at this we're not debating that. Fear is of something that did not happen yet. You're afraid of something that did not happen yet. So therefore it's not a fact. Therefore it's in your mind. It's an automatic negative thought response. Right? So I say all that just to say, the transmutation takes form when you're transmuting. Transmuting is the part of manifesting, and it's the part of manifesting that is that requires attention. Okay, you have to really audit and take inventory on what it is that you're doing in all the way around 360 degrees. What is it that I'm doing? And it's not about being perfect in everything, but it's about having everything work for you. This is that is mastermind. Have everything work for you. It should be no opposition. It should be no opposition. It is no debate on this. There's nothing to fear. It's nothing to fear, on any level. If you set I want to say if you set a goal and your goal of becoming, then you have to become. It doesn't matter really what happened yesterday or 5 years ago or anything like that. That isn't even real anymore. You have now and you have a cup. Is your cup half full or is it half empty? This is why we get distracted, and there's so many distractions. We got these devices, and it's plenty that can get us off get us off our dean, and and just getting pulled into that. So they have the scrolls turned all the way up. You have to audit it. You have to catch yourself. You got to check yourself. Don't try to check nobody else. Whatever someone else is doing, they're doing it. What someone else is going to do, they're going to do. You have no control over that. When play your number. Like, if you got your guys that, play, shout out everybody that, somebody hit the lotto out here, right? Salute, man. When somebody hits the lottery or something like that, the money touches a lot of people. Think about it, you gonna spend money and hit people. The money touches a lot of people. You know what I mean? But if you call that money, you gotta play your number. You gotta play your number on the wake up. Play your twos. When you wake up and you open your two eyes, you gotta play your number. How you gonna, if you think somebody better than you and because whatever, then that's how you carrying it. And that's what you're gonna get out of that. But just because you have set your idea on something, you can't even, if I could take a picture of my mind and give it to you, you're only gonna see what you want to see out of it. You understand? Just because you don't see exactly what you see, in internally in your mindset, right, with your third eye, just because you don't see it like that doesn't mean that it's not working, especially when you know that you're putting effort in going that way. Because a lot of times, like when it comes to your habits, you don't even know you have certain habits until someone notices and exposes it to you. Something you do automatically. That's a habit. Something you do automatically. And I'm not saying you don't know what your habits is, but habits is something that you do automatically without your conscious thought knowing that you're doing it. So in the form of manifesting any version, we want to build good habits that's conducive for us moving in a direction. Okay, each one of us in unity, In unity. Not saying we all doing the same thing or have to do the same thing, but playing your part is unity. You understand? Each one of your habits has to play a part in unity. Not saying that each thing that you do or, everything is the same. You do everything the same way. Again, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Okay? But in unity, where, for one positive goal, okay? I'm not going to be with these people doing something positive, right? For a certain part of the day, and then a couple days of the week, I'm gonna get with these guys, and we're doing something that's not conducive to my positive thing. That's that's a limbo. We're not, that's not going anywhere. Everything, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So if I'm doing this thing over here and it's positive with this positive group, and I do this, you know, 3, 4 days a week. When I get over here with these people and it's not positive, I'm gonna have to eliminate. If I'm going that way, I have to eliminate this. And there's no fear in cutting anybody that's not conducive for me doing my positive thing going that way. Because it's impossible to do unless they get down with the positive thing. So now with the 3 days over here and the 4 days over here, or the 4 days over there and the 3 days over here, right? Now I can do all 7 days, even though we're doing different things. But what I'm doing over here is now healthy, and it's conducive to what I'm doing. Now that's the effort in which we need. That's positive. That's work. Okay. Although you might not see the it physically yet, that work is being stored. That wasn't, that didn't go for nothing. You know what I mean? Like we was building. It's going to be a breaking point where that potential pushes through, right? And then you're at the higher end of, polarity, in that transmutation process, right? So yeah, we supposed to have ambitions. We supposed to have, you know, goals. But it's certain things you got to pay attention to, and not just make sure that we're not just, wishing on a star that something happens for us. That's not the way it goes. If we know that, we know what we need to do. It's not even knowledge at this point. We know what we need to do. So now, we got to do it. You know what you need to do already. Like, let's do it. What are you afraid of? It's 2026. You can be whatever and do it however you want to do it. That's what they doing. That's how they giving it up now. In 2026. You've been putting that work in, and that work's all there. You don't worry about it. You be consistent. Show up anyway, especially when you don't feel like it. That's what this is about, showing up when you don't feel like it. Just showing up. And that thing whether you notice it or not, you'll hit that breaking point, and that potential, that thing will shift gear, and you'll be in, you'll actually be on to the next assignment, right? Because just because you set out to have a goal on your journey, that don't mean that's the last goal. That plan might change, and then advance on, to something else. You get there and got the new information. You say, oh, okay, well, we need to go there then. And you knocking down barriers along the way, demonstrating on what it looked like, what it's supposed to look like, and how everybody's paying attention. Everybody's paying attention. They might not say nothing to you. They might not acknowledge you for it. You're not doing it for that. But they paying attention. And your job's to demonstrate and really put it down, a certain way. And you cannot afford to have bad days. Make everything work for you, on the wake up. It's truly wonderful, man. I hope everybody have a great everything. I'm Drew. This is Fruition. Peace.